Good morning and Eid al-Kabir once again to our Muslim faithful. Here is the news at 11 on Premier FM 93.5. First, the headlines. NCC takes steps to protect smaller telecom operators. ADC presents former Vice President Atiku Abubakar as a 2027 presidential candidate. 16 pupils die in Kenya school fire. That's on the foreign scene, of course. And what happened this day in history? Find out in our Lest We Forget segment. Heart of the Matter is on checking the menace of child abuse. You can track us on www.radionigeriaibadan.gov.ng, X and Instagram at PFM935 Ibadan, Facebook Premier FM 93.5 Ibadan. I am Emilia Ujimudia. Now the details of the news. The Nigerian Communications Commission (NCC) has taken steps aimed at protecting smaller operators from unfair competitions to enhance the telecommunications ecosystem. To this end, the Commission has released a draft business rules for mobile virtual network operators and called for feedback from operators on the development. According to the Commission, the suggested framework is aimed at preventing larger mobile network operators from employing pricing strategies or operational delays to hinder smaller operators and virtual network providers within the sector. The NCC called upon industry participants and interested entities to provide feedback on the draft rules on the 29th of next month in accordance with its stakeholders' engagement process. The Commission also announced a public consultation forum scheduled for July 9 this year, during which stakeholders' input and suggestions would be evaluated and integrated before the final implementation of the framework. President Bola Tinubu has given an assurance that the abducted pupils will not be abandoned. In a statement by his Special Advisor on Information and Strategy, Mr. Bayo Ononga, the President reiterates his commitment to the safe return of the abducted pupils and teachers of the community grammar school and two other schools in Eshinyele in Urire local government area of Oyo State. According to President Tinubu, no stone should be left unturned in a bid to secure the release of the victims. He directed security agencies to beef up security around primary and secondary schools nationwide. The President says the reinvigorated security measures around vulnerable schools should include updated school vulnerability mapping, stronger coordination between state governments and security commands, rapid response links between schools and local security units, and enhanced community-based early warning systems. The African Democratic Congress (ADC) presidential candidate Alhaji Atiku Abubakar has formally received the party's flag as its presidential flag bearer for the 2027 general election. The presentation took place in Abuja following the nationwide collation of the party's presidential primary election results. The national chairman of the party, Senator David Mark, handed over the flag to the former vice president and called on all the aspirants to work together, describing them as eminently qualified to lead the country. In his acceptance speech, Alhaji Abubakar called on other contestants to close ranks and work for the progress of the party. Alhaji Atiku Abubakar polled 1,846,370 votes to defeat his closest rival, former Rivers State Governor Mr. Rotimi Amici, who polled 504,117 votes. The Olubadan of Ibadan land, Oba Rashidi Ladoja, has declared there is nothing wrong with politicians seeking elective positions in 2027 using his name to promote themselves. Oba Ladoja, who made this known while fielding questions from newsmen at his private residence in Ibadan, the Oyo State capital, described all politicians and residents of the state as his sons and daughters. The monarch said politicians have the right to associate with him and leverage his name to promote their political ambitions. Oba Ladoja A one-time senator and former governor of the state, however, noted that using his name alone could not guarantee electoral victory, but there are antecedents and contributions to the grassroots. The Olubadan urged all the aspirants and candidates to focus more on service delivery and programs that would have direct impact on the lives of the people, stressing that voters in Oyo State would prioritize competence and credibility over mere affiliations. The Speaker, Ogun State House of Assembly, Mr. Oludaisi Elemide, has urged Muslim faithful to continue to uphold the virtues of tolerance, compassion, peaceful coexistence, and unwavering faith. Mr. Elemide, in a goodwill message issued by his media aide, Mr. Kunle Du, in Abeokuta, the state capital, on the occasion of the 2026 Eid al-Kabir celebration, described the festival as a season of sacrifice, obedience, love, and total submission to the will of Almighty Allah, as exemplified by Prophet Ibrahim. The Speaker congratulated the Muslim Ummah on witnessing another Eid al-Kabir celebration and called on them to use the spiritual significance of the festival to pray for the peace, unity, and prosperity of Ogun State and the country at large. According to him, the lessons of Eid al-Kabir should inspire Nigerians, especially political leaders and citizens, to make sacrifices that would promote collective development and improve the well-being of the people. If you've just joined us, you were on to the news at 11 on Premier FM 93.5 from the stable of Radio Nigeria. We'll be back shortly. We're glad to know you're still with us. Now, on this day in 2015, Dr. Akinwumi Adesina was elected President of the African Development Bank, ADB. And now, so the foreign scene, 16 students have been killed in a fire at a boarding school in Gilgil, about 77 miles west of the Kenyan capital, Nairobi. The fire at the Utumishi Girls Academy started in the early hours of today while the students were still asleep. Education Minister Julius Ogamba said dozens of other students were injured and taken to the hospital, while 71 were later discharged and 7 admitted for further treatment. In the meantime, police said search and rescue operations were underway, with authorities yet to establish the cause of the fire. Still on the foreign scene, Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guards Corps says it has targeted an American air base in the region after fresh U.S. strikes on southern Iran. The Corps did not say where the base was, but Kuwait, which hosts a U.S. base, said it had intercepted hostile missile and drone threats without specifying where they were coming from. Earlier, the U.S.'s military said it had shot down Iranian drones over the Strait of Hormuz and struck a military site in Bandar Abbas, a strategic port city. According to reports, the renewed hostilities threaten a fragile ceasefire between the U.S. and Iran. Now, as we celebrate Eid al-Kabir, let's extend arms to the less privileged and the vulnerable. Straight to the heart of the matter, written by Fumilola Obagbayegun of our Current Affairs Unit, it's on checking the menace of child abuse.
Child abuse remains one of the greatest social problems affecting children and the society. It is the cruel treatment of children through physical violence, neglect, emotional torture, sexual exploitation, and denial of basic needs such as education, healthcare, and parental care. Across many communities, countless children suffer silently from abuse in homes, schools, workplaces, and even on the streets. One major cause of child abuse is poverty. Many parents who struggle financially often neglect their children or force them into child labor to support family income. In some cases, children are sent out to hawk goods on busy roads where they face danger, exploitation, and harassment. Ignorance and lack of proper parenting skills also contribute greatly to the problem. Some parents believe that excessive punishment is the best way to train a child, not realizing that violence can cause deep emotional and psychological harm. Another factor encouraging child abuse is the breakdown of moral values in the society. Cases of sexual abuse, child trafficking, and domestic violence continue to rise because some individuals place selfish interests above human dignity. The effects of child abuse are devastating. Abused children often suffer from fear, depression, low self-esteem, poor academic performance, and emotional trauma. Some of them become aggressive, withdrawn, or unable to trust others. In severe cases, child abuse can lead to permanent injuries, mental illness, or even deaths. A society that fails to protect its children risks producing troubled adults and an unstable future generation, as this growing menace demands urgent attention from parents, teachers, governments, and the society at large. Peer pressure, drug abuse, and exposure to violent media content can also influence abusive behavior among adults and older youths. Therefore, to check the menace of child abuse, every member of the society have a role to play. Parents should provide love, care, and proper guidance for their children. Governments should enforce strict laws against child labor, trafficking, and domestic violence. Schools, religious organizations, and community leaders must educate people on children's rights and the dangers of abuse. Victims should also be encouraged to speak out and seek help without fear or shame. Child abuse is a serious threat to the well-being and future of children. Every child deserves protection. Every child deserves education, love, and the opportunity to grow in a safe environment. By promoting awareness, enforcing laws, and encouraging responsible parenting, society can greatly reduce the menace of child abuse and build a better future for coming generations.
That script on checking the menace of child abuse was written by Fumilola Obagbayegun of our Current Affairs Unit and presented by Feyi Shara Owomuyela. And to end the news at 11 on Premier FM 93.5 from the stable of Radio Nigeria, here again are the day's top stories. The Nigerian Communications Commission, NCC, has taken steps aimed at protecting smaller operators from unfair competitions to enhance the telecommunications ecosystem. The African Democratic Congress ADC's presidential candidate Alhaji Atiku Abubakar has formally received the party's flag as its presidential flag bearer for the 2027 general election. And on the foreign scene, we told you that 16 students have been killed in a fire at a boarding school in Gilgil, about 77 miles west of the Kenyan capital, Nairobi. For any information, contact us on these numbers: 0802 334 5294 and 0803 242 9552, or visit us at number 617 Jibo Crescent, Yagonko Quarters, or Oba Adebingbe Road, Old Gbagi Dugbe, Ibadan. You can track us on www.radionigeriaibadan.gov.ng, X and Instagram at PFM935 Ibadan, Facebook Premier FM 93.5 Ibadan. And that ends the news at 11 on Premier FM 93.5. It was put together by Oluwakayode Banjo. My name is Emilia Ojemudia. Thanking you for your time. Coming up next is Akojokbo Iroyin. That's our Yoruba translation. And Elizabeth Idugbe is our guide.